Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee of the... Whoop! Sorry! Well, that's embarrassing. I was trying to figure out how to get everything loaded, and, well, not gonna lie, I had it on in the back room because I was trying to figure out how to make it go live. So, just for the sake of the video on YouTube, I'm going to try to do the intro again and not kill everyone's ears. So hold that thought. So much better. Thank you so much for coming to this week's episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee. Today's episode is going to be all about, kind of morbid, we're going to be talking about when to commit financial suicide. Now, as somebody who has had mental health issues, I don't talk often about them, but I have been through a lot of tragedy, and there have been times where I have considered doing self-harm. I don't take the term suicide lightly. I don't take it in jest. I just want to talk about when right now a lot of us have to make decisions, financial decisions, that are basically financial suicide. For some of us, that is walking away from our business, walking away from a home, having to go ahead and, maybe make terrible results. Hi, Erin. Good to see you. I'm so sorry. I was trying to get it. I just bought Restream, and because the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been trying to use the streaming service into the different groups, and I don't know what is causing it to not stream into the groups. I feel like an idiot. I'm like, I have no idea. It clicks into going into YouTube, because it's like I go from a company, a software called OBS, that then is supposed to use the Restream or Caster to go to YouTube and my groups. That way I can share as much as I can. I gotta probably hire somebody to figure it all out. So I apologize, guys. It's really embarrassing that I have so much trouble with technology. I really am doing my best, and things get better. The shows are getting better and better. The quality is getting better. It just takes a little bit of time for me. So when I talk about committing financial suicide, I don't take that lightly. I don't take that as something where we are going to have to, just go, oh, well, this sucks. No, this is something that is very painful. It's something that can cause possibly permanent financial damage to you. Could be long-term damage to you, whether that's bankruptcy, losing things. I want to make sure that you guys are able and willing and ready to make that decision if that's the right decision. Now, sometimes you're not going to make that decision based upon financial hardship. Sometimes it's for your mental health. Not once, but twice, I would commit what I consider financial suicide. When I sold my salon, that was making very high 6 figures. Because I knew that it was not the path. I knew that owning a shop was not the path that I wanted. It didn't make sense for me. I wanted to be home with my son. I wanted to drop him off at school, and I wanted to pick him up. And what my shop had been built as didn't really fit what I wanted long term. I had always assumed I was going to hire a manager, and they were going to take over the shop and all of that. And I just didn't, at the time, honestly, I didn't have the skill set to do that. And I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want this ginormous responsibility. I wanted less responsibility. So it was really tough to make the decision to sell something that is making a lot of money to go towards happiness. It's really scary. And you have to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And you have to accept the financial negativity that comes along with that. That said, I did it again when I sold my house. I probably could have had my house almost sold off at this point, but I was in a very dark place. I had lots of memories in the house that just made the entire place toxic, and it didn't make sense to sell, but it made sense for me. And that's the important thing, is that I had to decide, was my sanity more important than my finances? And sometimes it's not, and sometimes it is. As you guys may or may not know, we are doing a last push for our online course called Personal Finance on a Leash, where in 12 weeks we teach you how to handle money. We're going to be doing a year-long mastermind, and in fact, it's going to continue to go. We're going to do it 3 months at a time. And those that sign up for Personal Finance on a Leash within 2020 or have previously, they're going to get a year of that for free. And that's a big deal. It's going to be about $1,000 to $1,200 worth of free. And you can't join the mastermind without going through Personal Finance on a Leash. Because Personal Finance on a Leash teaches you how to, have a healthy relationship with your money, what to do with your money. And then in our mastermind, it's all about the deep dive. Fixing your credit or creating credit. Maybe you don't have a lot of credit. Understanding about debt. Deep dive into debt. Whether that is the good debt versus the bad debt. And you guys know me, I don't necessarily love debt. But it depends upon what you're going to build. If you're going to build a large empire, you may need to take on debt. And doing that in a way that makes sense. We're going to talk about super saving. Super saving to buy, let's say, a business or a van or a home, and buying a home if you're self-employed. And some of you guys need Personal Finance on a Leash because you're in a bad financial standpoint, and some of you guys need it because you're making more money than you know what to do with. So I highly suggest you would consider joining that. But a lot of this year is about figuring out what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled, and really understanding what your dreams are. If you had asked me 10 years ago what my dream was, it was to have the multi-million-dollar facility. I wanted daycare and boarding. I wanted grooming. I wanted like those beautiful facilities that, when you walk in, you go, this is impressive. But what I didn't realize is that what I would want in the next 10 years of my life. And no one sat me down and said to me, hey, do you realize what you're going to have to give up to do this? I wish someone had. I wish someone had said to me, hey, you want to own this multi-million-dollar facility? And I would go, yes. But you have a newborn baby. And I'd be like, yeah, but that's okay because I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I just wish somebody had said to me, do you really want to give up all your young child's life? Like, I hate to be sexist, but we as a society have zero problems with a man never being home and never being around their child, and they're still a good dad. But as a mom, the idea of being that executive, in theory, sounds really powerful and empowering. But do I want to give that up? It's so interesting because had you asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, women can do anything men can do. And I still totally believe that. But I do think that men and women are built differently. My son's father had spent maybe 2 days a week, 2 days a month. So he had him every either Sunday into Monday, but his parents would take him on Sunday. So he would literally have him on Monday. And sometimes he would just pay for daycare and drop him off at daycare on Mondays. And he got to see his son 2 days a month, dump him on his parents for the first, I would say, 5 years of his life. And he was still considered a good dad. And I was working myself to the bone. I did everything I could. And the people in my life didn't consider me a bad mom. But would they have considered me a great mom? No, honestly. And is that sexist? Absolutely. But I do think that saying things like, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? And creating these calculated sacrifices in a way that makes you happy, makes you fulfilled, things you are willing to give up and things you aren't. As a mom, I would love to have more children. I don't want to give up what I gave up for my son. And I gave up for my son because honestly, we had nothing. I mean, I was so poor. But if I had had all that money, would I have done the same things? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I want to say yes, that I would be this powerful business owner and I would have built this empire. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know if someone had handed me $1 million, if I would have worked 60, 80 hours a week, or if I would have just stayed home with him. So you need to ask these questions to yourself, and only you know. And sometimes you don't even know. You have to have honest conversations with yourself. Because if you had asked me 10 years ago, I want to build this empire. I want to build this giant multi-million-dollar facility. And then you'd be like, okay, so then you want to work 7 days a week. I'd be like, no. Okay, well, the first 10 years of that business, unless if you have more money than God to hire that staff, who's going to train that staff? Oh, I'm going to hire a manager. Okay, well, then that manager is going to want to make what, 50 to 80? Look at the overhead. Look at this. Look at that. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of responsibility. And my goal was to get remarried and have more children. Sometimes our goals are compatible, and sometimes when we really are honest with ourselves, they're opposites. And again, I know this sounds sexist. It's not my intention. I just want to be honest. And this is just me. Maybe you are that woman that is willing to work 60, 80 hours a week with a newborn baby at home and see nothing wrong with it. I'm not here to judge another woman. That is her choice. But do I think I could do it again? No. No. And honestly, I don't know if I could have done it if my son couldn't have come with me to work. So when do you let the money go? If you're running a business and you're exhausted and you never catch up, first things first, evaluate if the business model makes sense to you. Does this business model make sense? Again, if you had asked me, I would have said yes. But looking at it further, I wanted to drop my son off at 7:30 and pick him up at 2. I could absolutely run a business like that in a shop. But it's really hard to leave the shop to go pick up my son and leave pets unattended and lock up the shop and go pick him up and then what? Bring him back to the shop? That's tough. You know, maybe it was from home and he could be dropped off by the bus. There's so many options. But make sure it fits what you want in your future. And honestly, not through your pride or your ego. Because I won't lie, my ego was 200% the reason that I wanted that big facility. Because I wanted to prove to everyone. I wanted to prove how much of a badass I was. And I could do it. And I could go big. And who are you to tell me what I can do? But is that worth my happiness? I don't think so. I don't. So, if you are in a position where you have to make hard choices, I want you to ask yourself very first and foremost, is this choice, is this option you have, whether it's a house, a car, a business, before you let it go, is it really what you want? And are the consequences reasonable? If you have a car that you can't afford and it's going to have to be repossessed, you can think of other ways. We can always talk about other ways of dealing with that. You might be able to sell the car. You might be able to contact the company, have them take it back, but in a way that makes sense and hopefully helps your credit a little bit. You might be able to get a loan for the difference of the negative equity you own. That might be a better option than just having them repossess the car. Maybe someone in your family can take over the payments. Again, there are nuances to this, and I do want to talk more at some point about all of the potential problems with this, the potential positives, but we have a 30-minute show-ish. Now with a business, I don't want to talk about a house because the housing market's going to crash, guys. There are so many people right now who are not paying their mortgages. And the banks are not going to just forgive. Unless if the government gives them a giant bailout, they're not going to forgive 6 months, a year's worth of payments. It's not going to happen. The same thing with rent. People that are not paying rent will be evicted once this ends. So I'm not going to get too far into that because being homeless is something that really rips at my heart. And honestly, when I talk about it, I prefer not to be live because I tend to cry. So I'm going to leave that there for a second. And I want to go into businesses. If you are running a business, whether that is a shop front, a mobile, etc., and you're not doing well, before you close your doors, make sure your business is or is not profitable. You know, you're more than welcome to do a free virtual coffee. I do 30-minute calls where we get to know you, you get to know me. You can tell me about your situation. I can't solve your problems in 30 minutes. I can't tell you if your business is or is not profitable in 30 minutes. It's really not possible. But what I can do is cut through what you're feeling. Are you feeling just scared because everything around you is crumbling? Or are you really just ready to let this go and start fresh? It's a hard decision to make. And if you are ready to let things go, are you just going to go and open up your own business? I think that the reason I am so willing to sell businesses is because my dad was one of those people that was like me, a mountain climber, where like you want to build the business. And then what he would do is he'd get bored of it or he'd see a better opportunity. So he might be running a business, not very well, by the way, probably losing money. He couldn't sell it. So he would let the business go and then go work as an employee for someone. And then he would do the math and say, wow, they're making this much money. I could be making this money. And he would go open his own business. And he did this at least 3 times. And the time that I knew him, and he passed away when I was 21, I was 21. So in 21 years, he did this 3 times. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But this is what he would do. And this is what I see a lot of that pattern. And I grew up around it. I grew up around the chaos of this like business. And then it was like, we had lots of money. We had no money. He would be gone. He would do this. He would do that. It was chaotic. But if you're going to do that, you may want to sell your business. Now, selling your business is complicated because most people don't have the income to buy it. You know, it's not as simple. People think they're just going to go to SBA and they're just going to give them money. It's pretty complicated. And again, this is something we're going to be talking about in the mastermind, about getting loans and understanding loans, because you guys generally don't understand loans. Now, if you have a husband or a spouse with good income, I always say the steady spouse or home equity, it's a lot easier. But I'm not talking to those people. You guys exist, and I have no problem with you guys. I love you guys. Like, listen, if I could have me a husband who would take care of me and I didn't have to worry about money, I'd be so much happier. And part of that, honestly, is because I am forever going to be traumatized by money. It's just how it is. Like, if you've ever been hungry, you will, if you've ever been homeless and hungry, you will always be traumatized. It's just, you know, like I get panic attacks if like my bank account goes too low. And sometimes it's just because I've switched money into another account. I've had my debit card decline and I've started sobbing at like a grocery store. And then I realized that it was just like a mistake. It was just like chip malfunction or I put the wrong pin in. It's just something that's going to take forever to get through. So there's nothing wrong with you if you are blessed. If you're blessed, be grateful. And I'm happy for you. I really am. I think it's really nasty when people get nasty that other people have blessings in their life. I think that's great. But those of us who are struggling and contemplating, possibly losing the good things, I want to say that you're okay and you will get through it. And if there was ever a time to have bad credit, it's now. Because you're going to be able to bounce back faster. And good, bad, or indifferent, FICO is considering rearranging the credit score a little bit, not completely. There's no way to actually know exactly how they do it. They keep that shit secret. But they're going to make certain things more lax because of COVID. I mean, when there's people who aren't working for 9 or 10 months, they're talking about not opening everything up till next year and Christmas, which is insane. But because of that, you may have to make these decisions. And I want you to empower yourself first to decide what it is that you really want. And make sure what you want, both your personal and your business goals, align. Because when I decided to sell my shop, it wasn't because I hated my shop. It's because I realized they were incompatible goals. Getting married, having a family, being there for my son, could I have done it with my business? Yeah, but I had already built something that was successful and financially vibrant. And to cut it all down didn't make sense. It made more sense to sell it. Yeah, I did lose. I wasn't going to make 6 figures working by myself in the model I had built. I needed employees. And I didn't want employees anymore. I was like, all right, I'm going to cut out the employees. Me in the van. And that's what I'm going to do. And that was really hard. It was so hard. And then I did add employees. And that was great. And that's where things are going. But if you have to make these hard choices, you're not alone. And if you need help, come into my group, come into a live, do a virtual coffee. Let's figure out what it is that's going to make you happy. And it might not be for a year or 2. You might have to suck it up and go work for Petco or PetSmart for 2 years. Yes, that sucks. But you know what sucks even more? It's treading water and losing it all anyway. I know you guys see things differently, but I talk to a lot of people open up to me, and I'm very grateful for that. And that's why I try very hard. If I ever tell your story, please know that I would never tell anyone who you are. But I think it's so important. Like, I hear these stories. Like, I was talking to somebody and they're losing everything. They've lost their house. Well, they're going to lose their house because they have no money. They have no money. They haven't paid their cars. Her and her husband's car hasn't been paid since March. Her shop's been closed. Her local mandate does not allow it to be open. So she's going to lose her shop. She has no cash. She took out one of those PPE loans. So now she owes money, which hopefully will be forgiven, but probably not. She's losing everything. And now what? And I just told her, I said, listen, now you're going to be going to work at Petco, PetSmart. And she's like, I don't want to go there. I said, well, haven't everyone else in your area had the same problem? She's like, well, yeah. I said, then what shops are going to hire you? Only Petco, PetSmart, because they don't make any money on the grooming salon anyway. And they had enough cash reserves to make it through. And that really sucks. It sucks. It sucks when the little guy gets beaten up. But that's where, guys, you hear me all the time. You need 6 months to a year's worth of personal expenses and 6 months to a year worth of business expenses if you're a business owner. Because had she had that, she would not have lost everything. And starting over again sucks. I told her, I said, listen, you're going to have to commit some financial suicide. You're going to have to figure out if you're going to short sale your house or if you're going to sit in it till they take it. And that's a really shitty position to be in. You're going to have to decide if you're going to take everything out of your shop and let the landlord repossess it. That way they don't sue you for the back rent. Or are you going to go through the eviction process? Because they're not going to forgive 9, 10, 12 months worth of rent payments. They can't afford that. They can't afford that. I mean, it's not like some landlords are big corporations, but again, in my area, every area is different. In my area, most are owned by investors. Not like expensive investors. Like if I wanted to invest in buying a strip mall, not a strip mall, but like a 4-unit strip. So they have a mortgage. They have bills to pay. They're probably paying way too much in taxes. So they have to make their money. And so it's just that trickle-down effect. And hopefully the government will come and help us. But guess what? The government is us. We pay the government and then they give us our own money back. So there's really no good answer. But if you do have to do these things, make sure they align with what you want. If it is, I would rather you guys start over in 2 years with good intentions than limp along for 2 years, rack up lots of debt, make no money, and then go under anyway. I would rather you go work for Petco PetSmart for 2 years if you had to. And please understand, I'm not saying because I want you to. I don't want anyone to have to work corporate. That sounds like a bad idea. Nothing wrong with corporate, but you have to be a special kind of crazy to do that. What I want you to do instead is do what's best for you and your family. And a lot of times that means we have to put down our pride and look at what we want. My pride told me to own my grooming salon because it made me feel good. It made me feel good to feel successful. It made me feel really good to be successful. It did. And then selling it, people thought I was nuts. And maybe I was, but I was so much happier. And I figured out a way, like this is why I'm a good business coach, because I figured out how to make the same amount of money I was paying myself owning that big business with one van, with just me. It was pretty awesome. I really can't complain. It was a beautiful experience, and it really helps me help other people. It really does. I can't tell you how much it has helped me step into this new kind of power where instead of it's like, look at me and everything I accomplished, now it's like, wow, look at what I can do for other people. And because this is the last Grow Wealthy Grooming episode of the year, I have a big announcement. I'm kind of scared to tell everyone. And that is that I am going to be selling my grooming business to my mother, believe it or not. She's a teacher and she earns less than $3,000 a month. And she told me she wants to become a business owner. And I told her if she did, that if she could get a loan or save up the money, I would be happy to sell her my business. I have the employees. All she's got to do is keep doing what I'm doing. And she did. And I couldn't be more proud. And it's scary because what am I going to do? Right? Isn't that committing financial suicide? Selling your business that is who you are. I am my business. I mean, if I sell this, am I still a groomer? What does that mean for me? And it's terrifying, but it's wonderful. And with everything I'm doing next year for Savvy Groomer, I have my mom just texted me. It's so funny. She's like, laugh out loud. I can't believe she's watching. That's so weird. I know. I'm scared to admit it. It's exhilarating. It's amazing. It's amazing that, and if you guys know, like my mom and I had a very tough relationship growing up, and I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her for stepping into her power. But I'm so impressed with who she's becoming. She's actually even going to get her CFMG. Now, this is a woman I've only seen run once. She ran once when my sister hit a hot poker in my eye. Like right here. It was so funny. It was the good eye. I have 20% vision in this eye, and this eye is the only good eye. And that's the only time I've ever seen that woman do any kind of exercise. So the fact that she's going to get her CFMG and step into her power and hopefully she loves teaching, but man, she has had terrible, I mean, if you know anyone in your life who's a teacher, you know how much they are not treated well. And so I'm excited for her to step into that. But am I committing financial suicide? Oh, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. I'm going to be going from making 6 figures, doing nothing, because my employee at this point is basically grooming, to making Savvy Groomer my full-time. And this year for Savvy Groomer, we have our personal finance on a leash. We're doing 4 boot camps. We're going to be doing our brand new mastermind. We have a small retreat in Rhode Island in July. It's going to be 10 people maximum, and I'm super excited for all that. But is it financial suicide? Absolutely. But is it the right choice? Absolutely. And sometimes as we go on our path, we have to keep in mind what is hard and what is right. And whether that's out of moving on or whether that is out of tragedy. Either way. And if you guys need help to know if you need to, I hate to say commit financial suicide, but if you're in a place where you don't know what to do, thankfully you guys have my group. You have virtual coffees. You really want to dive deep before you file bankruptcy. Please take personal finance on a leash. But I wanted to share the good, bad, and ugly with you guys. And I'm so scared to I don't know why I'm so stressed out. I think it's because for me, grooming has always been who it's what saved me, right? When I had my son and I had nowhere to go, it's what saved me. It allowed me to buy a house. It allowed me to become the woman I am. And I will definitely be going at least one day a week in the van because let's be real here. She will hire me. I'm a good groomer. I'm a very good groomer, guys. Cat grooming. Dog grooming, I'm a very mediocre groomer. But I'm excited. I'm excited for her to grow, to do multiple vans. I'm really excited to watch it. And that is also where, and we're not, nothing's for certain, but like I've hired an attorney to be able to, hopefully, I want to figure out how to be able to legally lease vans. So for those people that want to start their own business, but they've had to commit financial suicide. No, I'm not a sucker. No, I don't think that everyone deserves help. But I do think that some people have to do hard things, the right things. Right, guys? And I think that everyone deserves a second chance. If somebody had handed me some help when I was homeless and pregnant, I would have been so grateful. So, all right, guys, I am going to finish this all up. Like I said, if you guys need help, I am here. And I will have so much more time to help you guys. And I am so excited about that. I'm so grateful. And then I'm going to be able to focus on you guys. And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of weird that I'm probably going to be like a once a week employee. Shelly's saying better finance rates, unused vans. It is, but a lot of that makes sense. A lot of it, and it's interesting, Shelly, because I don't know, Shelly, if you're in personal finance on a leash, but we're going to go over A5 in the auto, the way that auto loans are generated, because generally when you get a grooming van, it is an auto loan. However, when you're used, it's generally a business loan. And I'm so excited in the mastermind to have the time. I'm going to take 3 months to really dive deep into getting loans. Now, you guys know I hate debt. I hate debt. But at the same time, you've got to do that. And there are pluses and minuses of buying new versus used. And I really want to go over all of that in the mastermind because I really need time to go through all of that. Because I was shocked at how much information there is on all of that. Like, it literally makes me, like, my head hurt. And I read a lot of books. I learn a lot of stuff. But it's all very complicated. Yeah, so I'm really excited. But, yeah, leasing would be great. And I'm working on all of it, slowly but surely. I'm really excited to have more time. Really excited to have more time. Because I set the goal to the universe, to God, whatever you want to call it, that I wanted to make Savvy Groomer my full-time because I want to help people full-time. Not that I don't love grooming cats. I love cats. Listen, my cat is a little asshole, and I love him, and I love all my customers. They're amazing. But I can't, at this stage in my life, if I want to get married and have kids, running a mobile empire and building Savvy Groomer. Something's got to give. So if I'm going to hold on to the dream that I meet Mr. Right and we have beautiful babies, then running Savvy Groomer and the mobile doesn't make sense. And that's okay. Because like I said before, guys, I've done this before. And if I have to do it again, I would be more than happy to do it again. I honestly, don't tell anyone, I really hate when businesses run well. Not that I hate that. For me, I find it very boring. So I love about business coaching. I'm like, please give me your hot mess of a business. Let me help you fix your hot mess of a business. That sounds like fun. Is that messed up? Oh yeah, your girl's broken. Your girl's definitely like, but every groomer is a little crazy. My flavor of crazy is on board. And that's okay. You know, I'm okay. And I love that my mom is going to be able to make 6 figures for the first time in her life. And I can't even tell you. I can't tell you how excited I am. It makes me so happy. Like, I don't want to cry, but like I want to cry, you know? And I can help my mom, you know, because she did the best she could with me. And that's such a gift, is to help my family legacy. And what better way to do that than with grooming, right? And that's why I'm with you guys. You're my people. This will always be my home. Getting hot and that's why we don't talk about this stuff. All right, guys, I will go. And if you haven't already, make sure you are a member of, I hit the wrong button. This is terrible. I had everything set up and then I was bad at it. I swear to God, if I employed me, I would fire me sometimes. Yeah, Shelly, my mom's name is Darylyn. She's wonderful. So if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and join my free Facebook group called Savvy Pet Professionals, where you can network with other groomers that are like-minded. There are so many groomers in the grooming industry who are, but not in a good way, like in a really annoying, like, I only charge $10 a dog and that's a good thing and you're greedy and blah, blah, blah. They're crazy. And here are, oh man, I am just like, it's because I'm not good when I'm emotional. I hate being emotional, especially on camera. I feel like I cry too much on camera. It's bad. If you guys are interested in working with me, my specialty, obviously, is finding work-life balance. There are 3 ways to work with me. One is to sign up for our Savvy Groomers business membership, where you are going to be able to, for only $35 a month, get 1 workshop a month where you can go through it, learn something, apply it, and slowly build up a business that you want. What's nice is you have the entire library. So if you want to learn on how to schedule tasks, if you want to learn how to do basics of bookkeeping, you can do all of that. Now, if you're like, no, girl, I need way more help, then what you would do is some one-on-one coaching. That one-on-one business coaching is going to help you really streamline what you want to do. We're going to be able to pull, I don't want to say all the crap, but you know what I'm talking about. We're going to be able to get down to the nitty-gritty and figure out what it is exactly that you need. Often you guys don't know what you need, and that's not a criticism. That's just the way we work. For instance, like I said, I thought I wanted this ginormous business, and I thought I wanted to get married and have kids, and that it would all work out. Well, again, hiring a business coach will help you figure out what it is that you really want, make sure the business model fits you really well, maybe increase pricing, whatever it is that you would like. Now, if you're like, hey, River, but how the hell am I going to pay for all that? No worries. You would sign up for Personal Finance on a Leash. Personal Finance on a Leash is a 12-week course where you are going to learn how to have a healthy relationship with money. Even though a lot of you guys say, I really want money, you have a little bit of these things that you unintentionally have toxic feelings towards money. And I know that sucks to hear, but it's so true. In fact, I was talking to my mother about this before she purchased the business, because good, bad, or indifferent, she grew up in a household where you worked hard and you earned money. And the idea of running a business and charging too much doesn't make sense. And it was really interesting watching somebody who's your mother work their head through that. And she's like, well, who can afford that? And I said, well, we're not trying to make it affordable to everyone. We have a very select clientele. And it's been wonderful to pass that along. And you guys know that. There are always going to be Petco, PetSmart. They can afford to pay 50% to a groomer and lose money on grooming. As a business owner, that's not my job. I got to take care of my kid. I know. So I'd love for you guys to go ahead and work with us. If not, come in the group. I'm going to be doing a lot more with the group. Those in Personal Finance Unleashed, like I said, if you sign up before the end of the year, you get a year's worth of that mastermind. And I'm really excited to see that mastermind be able to do these deep dives, be able to pull up, with safely credit and like explain the credit and explain how things, explain if you want to buy a house, how much money, how to do that. Because if you want to, there's so much, and I hate to I don't have time to go through all of it. I'm like, I don't have time. I need real time to go through all that. And it's been so many aha moments for me in the last year, and working with all that. And because I've had to deal with so many clients on the financial side who are just in financial smoldering ruins. But yeah, guys, I'm so excited. And I will be posting, for those of you guys asking about the business retreat, it is a very small business retreat. I have 3 bedrooms available, up to 2 people per bedroom. And then I'm going to also allow 3 auditors. So it's going to be a max, including me, of 10 people. Max. So it's going to be super small, but I want to be that way. I want it to be super intimate. I want to go over... it's going to be nice because I'm going to have topics, and then we're going to be able to decide which topics we want to do. And it's going to be in my happy place. It's going to be in Newport, Rhode Island, which I love. So we're going to be in Newport in July. We can go tour the mansions, which are beautiful. The HBO is making a new series all about the Gilded Age, which is so fascinating. And we can go parasailing or just regular sailing. I will be wine and cheese sailing, which means that I will not be doing any of the work because that sucks. We can do a lot of things, seafood, and tons of fun stuff. Hopefully by then, dancing, because I feel like drunk dancing with a bunch of groomers. I feel like that would be like my squad. It would be so much fun. But we don't have to do that either. We can just sit at home and read a book if you want. No matter what you want to do, it's all good. So I really appreciate it, guys. I will talk to you soon. In the meantime, happy grooming, guys.